Roswell being one of the biggest incidents in at least American alien history. What do you think about Roswell? Like, what do you believe happened?
Well, Roswell is literally the ground zero of the UFO phenomenon. People say that in the summer of 1947, something crashed. And if you look at the historical record, even the US military admit that. Nobody would have heard of this were it not for the fact that the US Army Air Force, as it was at the time, the US Air Force had yet to be created, but the US Army Air Force caused a press release to be issued, which essentially said, look, we've had these so-called flying saucer sightings. Flying saucer fever had swept the United States for a few weeks in the summer. And then the US military said, we have recovered one of these flying discs. And then within 24 hours, they said that they'd made a mistake and that it was just a weather balloon. But obviously, then the story was out. I talked to Jesse Marcel Jr. He was 9 or 10 years old at the time, and his father was the intelligence officer who actually recovered this. And he woke his family up in the middle of the night with this somber look on his face. And he said, I want to show you something that I'll never be able to show you again, and that will change the way you look at the world. And he pulled out this piece of wreckage. It was metal, really super tough. And yet he scrumpled it up like a little piece of paper, and then it springed back. People have used the phrase memory metal. And so Jesse Marcel's wife and his son, who I talked to when decades later, and he had tears in his eyes remembering this, and he said, it changed my life forever. He said, the world that I thought I lived in, it like died that day, and I knew that there was something else, something bigger than this. And that's kind of spooky.
Now we have the whistleblower that came out. None of it is completely like, whoa, I've never heard that before. So it brings me back to an incident, is the Murray Island incident in 1947. Have you heard of that one?
I have. I've not researched it in any great detail, but I know that the US government has some files on it. I can't really pretend that I know the details and go into any particular level on that. But what I will say is, I mean, you mentioned the whistleblower, David Grush. Mm-hmm. And whether it's Murray Island or whether it's Roswell or whether it's some of the other cases that people are talking about, a lot of times these things were just regarded as science fiction, crazy conspiracy stuff. You would say, well, this is just anonymous people speaking on conspiracy forums on the internet. Now with David Grush, this guy was former US intelligence community. I have spoken to, I think, 3 retired intelligence community folks who say, yeah, I knew Dave. I worked with him. So he is 100% who he says he is, and he worked on the Department of Defense's Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force. And he is confirming, whether it's Murray Island, whether it's Roswell, but particularly crashes, he's basically saying, yeah, this is real. This is what we in the intelligence community were briefed on. And now Congress is going after trying to find these legacy programs that David Grush and other people have been speaking about.
The reason why I bring up Murray Island is that it's one of the first incidents that we hear of the Men in Black. And now you have this guy coming out being able to just freely talk. So my question is, like, change to be able to speak so freely without having to worry about possibly the government shutting you down?
Well, David Grush arguably was a real life Man in Black, and some people have said the same about me. But now Dave has said that his shortly after he went public with this, his house was broken into, and these are deep insiders. So there is a bit of a power struggle going on right now. There are factions within the US government on this. There's a kind of faction that wants this all out, and there is, well, I guess you could call it the Men in Black faction. And so with Maury Island, I mean, I don't know whether those people were government, G-men trying to keep a lid on this or something else, but consistently for decades now we've had these stories. I mean, governments are inherently, of course, secretive organizations. The default position with these folks is to say nothing, and I get that. I did that myself. So whether it's just that or whether it's something a little bit more X-Files, I don't know.